Today is Juneteenth. We'll take a look at just what the day really means. The temperatures are rising here in the area. We'll check out what Rapid City's mobile medic is doing to keep people safe. And a national cattle convention gets going here in the Black Hills. What issues are they dealing with? Your news starts now.
From Skyline Drive, this is KOTA Territory News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Jack Cottle. Hundreds of cattle producers from around the country gathered at the Lodge in Deadwood today for the RCAF National Convention. KOTA Territory's Brad Walton stopped by the convention and tells us how industry leaders are rallying around a family from just outside of Rapid City.
Each year, the RCAF convention brings ranchers from across the United States to western South Dakota.
RCAF is the largest organization representing independent cattle producers in the United States.
Leaders in business and government spoke to a large crowd about current issues in animal agriculture.
As a lifelong rancher myself, I understand the importance of your work and how challenging it can be.
Subjects such as EID tag mandates and country of origin labeling have been at the forefront of discussion for cattle producers in recent years. At this year's RCAF convention, many speakers brought up one family from a small ranch southeast of Rapid City.
It was an honor for me to speak today after the Maud family because of my background as a rancher and how appalling it was the way they were treated.
Charles and Heather Maud were charged with theft of federal property after a U.S. Forest Service agent reportedly told them their fence encroached onto the Buffalo Gap National Grassland. This crime carries a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison.
Both the federal government and the criminal court system are very good at making you feel borderline insane and very guilty until you prove yourself innocent.
Prominent politicians including Roden, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, and Congressman Dusty Johnson spoke out on the Maud's behalf, and their charges were officially dropped in April.
Only 5% of criminal cases are ever dismissed. They were trying to destroy your legacy and they were trying to throw you in jail, and what you have just done is almost impossible.
RCAF presented the Mauds with the Oak Legacy Award, honoring their perseverance. Reporting in Deadwood, Brad Walton, KOTA Territory News.
First Alert meteorologist Ryan Hill is here with a first look at the forecast. First Alert weather days continue for tomorrow and Saturday. So how do we do today? What are we expecting moving forward, Ryan?
Well, we did exactly as we expected, Jack. Look at these clear skies and that blazing sun. We got ourselves up to, take a look at this at the airport, 99 degrees. Well, that's not the record that was set in 1989. That was about 102, but we got near the record, 96 or 97. We're waiting for the official report downtown based off of National Weather Service observations. Dry air and clear skies allowed us to warm very famously. Here's our temperature right now downtown at 94 degrees. We are continuing to expect a warm evening with mid-60s in western South Dakota, but southwesterly winds are going to increase as we make our way into tomorrow. Take a look at this right here. Gusts as high as 35 miles per hour. Those are going to help supercharge things, and we get to 102 tomorrow for our hottest of the First Alert weather days. But there is relief on the horizon, light at the end of the tunnel. I'll talk about more about that in your full forecast. Jack, back to you.
Thank you, Ryan. With the official start of summer coming up on Saturday and temps already rising past 90 degrees here in KOTA Territory, we check in to see how the Rapid City Fire Department's mobile medic unit is preparing to help the homeless in the area stay healthy and cool. Since its inception in 2016, the fire department's mobile medic unit has been providing life-saving care for emergency calls across Rapid City. The unit's lieutenant, Rachel Hobbs, says while many people typically think of the unit helping out during frigid winter months, they actually see a high number of calls during the summer.
Try to constantly be on the watch, especially on the hot days, making sure people are drinking water, not wearing excessive clothes, they're staying nice and cool, staying in the shade. I mean, you can get heat exhaustion in 77 to 88 degree weather, so it really doesn't take a lot. And in Rapid, it can change like that, and if you're not prepared, you can quickly become vulnerable to heat exhaustion or heat stroke.
Hobbs urges anyone in the community who sees people suffering from heat exhaustion to call 911 right away. One person is dead after a crash in Deadwood around noon today. A work truck and a minivan collided head-on near the Main Street intersection on Highway 14A on the southwest side of Deadwood. According to the South Dakota Department of Public Safety, one person died in the crash. A section of Highway 14A was closed down to one lane as firefighters swept away debris from the accident. We'll provide updates on the story when more information is available. 160 years ago, enslaved people in Galveston, Texas learned of their freedom nearly 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. That is now known as Juneteenth. 4 years ago, the day became a federally recognized holiday and serves as a day of celebration and education across the nation. Joyce Jefferson of Rapid City spends her time telling the stories of 3 pioneer African-American women from the Dakota Territory. She says she looks forward to telling the stories of people who came before us today. She adds she hopes everyone today knows what Juneteenth is.
And I think it's very important for all of us to know our history. I work with a Native American woman and we celebrate Native American heritage. I've worked with other people of other ethnicities and I celebrate their time as well. And I'm always learning something new by celebrating.
You can see Jefferson portray Sarah Campbell, Lucretia Marchbanks, and Mary Kercheval this Saturday at the Black Hills Community Theater's Juneteenth celebration at the Performing Arts Center of Rapid City. Federal funding cuts have hit hard around the country, and that's true in Indian country as well. We'll see what's happening on the Rosebud Reservation when we come back on KOTA Territory News at 5:30. President Donald Trump entered office with a clear goal to reduce spending across the whole of government. That includes cuts to already underfunded communities like Native American tribes. Senior national correspondent Peter Zampa is on the Rosebud Reservation here in South Dakota, speaking to tribal leaders about what cuts mean for their future.
In this country, the relationship between the U.S. government and our native tribes is a story of unfulfilled commitment. When the government took native land, they made a promise to provide for those few reservations left. But the Rosebud Sioux tribe right here in South Dakota says they see the government consistently falling short. Driving around this reservation, financial challenges in clear view, while something sinister brews below the surface.
We had a young man that was shot in one of our communities and killed. And so this is happening everywhere on our reservation. There are people getting shot. There are people getting hacked with machetes. The crime, it's escalating.
Tribe President Kathy Woodenknife is pleading with the federal government to do something. She declared a state of emergency because of a rise in meth use and violent crime.
I wish I could say I'm optimistic about it, but I can't be. I was raised to say seeing is believing. Right now I can't because I'm worried.
The Trump administration is on a mission to cut federal spending, already impacting reservations by eliminating loans, grants, and other proposals. In his new budget proposal, the president looking for what could amount to $1 billion in cuts on reservations, impacting education, healthcare, and law enforcement.
This place will be very active tonight around midnight.
Wacy, his holy horse, is the Rosebud Sioux police chief. He has 15 officers patrolling nearly 1 million acres of land.
3-hour drive for me to get from where I was to that community. A male was involved in a domestic situation. He advised our dispatch center that if law enforcement was contacted, he would have a shootout with us. When I got there, he was already gone.
No pension to look forward to, low pay, occasionally no backup. But this reservation, like many, is used to doing more with less.
It's just the way of life for us.
Tribe Treasurer Louis Wayne Boyd believes the current anxiety over funding is leading to rising crime.
We've just been barely getting by, and now all of a sudden they're talking about chopping our legs off.
Do you fear for the survival of this reservation?
We're going to get through whatever they throw at us. It's just how we come out at the end and how much of our people have to suffer in the meantime.
With so many priorities captivating the American public and the Trump administration, the question for the Rosebud Sioux is whether the writing on the wall truly spells out that bleak future they're expecting, or whether they have advocates in government who will listen to their pleas and start respecting covenants consistently violated for 250 years. I'm Peter Zampa, listening to America.
Higher heat is on the way, along with 2 more first alert weather days. Meteorologist Ryan Hill details how long that lasts in your accurate first alert forecast after the break.
Now, the First Alert Forecast with meteorologist Ryan Hill.
First alert weather days continue for 2 more days, both tomorrow and Saturday. Still clear skies around KOTA territory, but fluffy cumulus are firing up over the Bighorn, something to be considering for your temperature overnight tonight, as well as maybe some showers and thunderstorms leaping up and over KOTA territory. Maybe Belfouche or Newell get in on the act. That might be more so a possibility into the weekend, but a warm evening on the western side of, the eastern side of KOTA territory, the western side of South Dakota. 64 for the low in Rapid City and many other areas as we watch some southwesterly winds that come almost roaring in. You've got some gusts that could be of about 35 to 40 miles per hour, especially south of I-90. And with that considered, we've got ourselves a plenty hot day. Those southwest winds really cranking up the heat, as well as maybe even a little bit of downslope action from the Black Hills that really helps serve to supercharge our warm-up as we get to 102 to 104 from Rapid City to Phillip and along and south of the I-90 corridor. A little cooler on your Saturday. 98 though, still. Potential to break records or tie them on both days. We're breaking the 1910 record tomorrow and then tying potentially the record that was set back in 2016 downtown Rapid City. But look at the relief as we get some more clouds, showers, thunderstorms. Frontal boundary kind of stalls out closer to us. We get some northwesterly winds cranking in there to cool things off. But while we're still hot, take a look at the left column here for heat exhaustion and the right column for heat stroke. If you recognize any of these signs in you or someone you're with, definitely act upon those according to what's under the left or the right column compared to what you are going through. And indeed, look at that 95-degree column right here for how hot your car gets. Do not leave your pets or your children or anybody in a vehicle. That is for sure as we go into tomorrow and into your Saturday. Same for the concrete and asphalt out there. It is going to get silly hot. So do those walks either in the morning or in the evening, not during that 2 to 6 time frame. Other than that, we're talking about a plentiful cool down in our forecast, folks, as we move our way through the weekend and into the beginning of next week. Trough of low pressure getting that done. We do have a warm up in store after that, but not as much as what we're dealing with. And hey, we've got some rain to talk about Tuesday and Wednesday into Thursday that might be well scattered throughout the area. And even by Sunday, we see some pretty decent totals in the Sheridan area. We'll see if we can get that to come down here. What's in Montana, but definitely back to normal temperatures after a stretch of heat for the northern hills, northeast Wyoming. And as we move our way through the rest of the forecast, take a look at that. Amazing.
Going to be a hot one. All right. Thank you, Ryan. Well, coming up, South Dakota's best high school cowboys and cowgirls look to get off to a good start at the state rodeo competition. Plus, we introduce you to a member of the United States tumbling and trampoline national team who's competing at this week's championships in Rapid City. Vic Quick has all the details next in KOTA Sports.
Happy dinner time, everybody. The State High School Rodeo kicked into full gear with the first full performance in Fort Pierre today. Kadoka's Jace Grimes had the top saddle bronc ride of the opening session with a 64. Buffalo's Aspen Vining turned in the top barrel racing time at 15.8 seconds. Newell's Kelsey Costello had the top breakaway time of the first performance, finishing with a time of 3.18 seconds. Box Elder's Drake Boomsma turned in the best tie-down roping performance with a time of 11.5 seconds. The United States National Trampoline and Tumbling Championships roll on from the Monument Summit Arena. Local fans have had a chance to see some tremendous athletes show off their skills this week. Now, the tournament wraps up on a Saturday. One of the athletes who is competing at this year's event is Illinois' Gael Bronson. The 17-year-old excels in tumbling and is a member of the USTA national team. After his career as an athlete is over, Bronson would like to coach tumbling and trampoline, and he feels it takes a lot of commitment to have success in this sport.
Determination to take losses and turn them into conviction to keep moving forward, to understand that your coaches are not trying to belittle you and trying to make you better, and to see every last place as a potential first if you change just that one thing more. I would like to coach in this sport. I would like to pass on the knowledge that I've learned in my years of flipping to help the next generation learn just as I have.
Now, the Post-22 baseball team came up on the short end at its first game at a tournament in Omaha yesterday, falling to Creighton Prep 7-0. The Hardhats are still an impressive 30-5 on the season. Today, Kelvin Torvey's guys look to bounce back as they return to the diamond for a pair of games against Millard West and Gillette. Now, game number 1 against Millard West turned out to be a slugfest today, with Post-22 winning it 15-10. The Hardhats pounded out 13 hits en route to picking up the victory. In game 2, Post-22 shut out Gillette 8-0. Hardhats did most of their damage in the third inning, plating 6 runs. Well, hey, it's going to be an exciting weekend on the local softball scene as the 30th annual Mount Rushmore Classic will be held in Rapid City. The tournament is expected to bring in around 100 teams from around the region. The tournament games begin tomorrow out at the Parkview and Star of the Westfields and will run through Sunday where the championship games are played. It'll be a chance for our local teams to show off their talents and get some good competition. The tournament is free for spectators, so it's a good chance to get out and see some good softball. A couple other baseball scores from this afternoon. The Rapid City Sliders fell to Mitchell 3-1. Gillette, mentioned, fell to Post-22. Rough Riders also lost to the Creighton Prep Junior Blue Jays today 18-6. NBA Finals get going. Game 6, Thunder and the Pacers. Thunder can win it all tonight. Gets going once we're done with the news, so keep it tuned right here. That's a look at sports.
90% of adults with substance use disorders began using substances before the age of 18. That's according to Lifeways. In this week's KOTA Cares, Zeta Jones highlights a nonprofit supporting young people across KOTA territory through school-based prevention, counseling, and education services.
Lifeways helps more than 7,000 youth in KOTA territory each year, providing them with valuable tools to live healthy and productive lives.
We support children and adolescents through prevention, intervention, education within the school system, and then we also provide a 1.0 level outpatient treatment for any adolescents that could be experiencing substance use disorder.
This nonprofit partners with elementary, middle, and high schools in the Rapid City area and Douglas schools.
We have credentialed counselors in each of those areas in the middle school and high schools, and they provide an evidence-based substance use prevention curriculum to students, so they go into classrooms, but they also offer individual services to students that may need some extra help. We've also been able to come into the elementary schools and work in 4th and 5th grade classrooms that teaches kids skills as far as how do we make good friends, how do we make good decisions, how do we set goals, and then we also talk to them about peer pressure. We also talk about how the things like alcohol and nicotine and other drugs can affect their brain and their body.
Lifeways counselors also provide direct services at their main office in Rapid City. To donate to this week's KOTA Cares, scan the QR code. And for more information, go to our website. Reporting in Rapid City, Zeta Jones, KOTA Territory News.
All right, Ryan, we got dangerous heat levels coming through now.
We do, and especially tomorrow, which is the hottest. We've got those first alert weather days holding on for tomorrow and Saturday. We're especially in the hundreds tomorrow, but even out the door real quickly, we've got 80s by 9 a.m., but a cool down to temperatures just like that for highs throughout the remainder of the period.
All right, be ready, be careful. That'll do it for us.
Thanks for watching KOTA Territory News, your local news and weather authority.